You go out to your garden of a morning, coffee in your hand, proud as you please, and you stop dead in your tracks. There is a ridge of soft-turned dirt running the whole length of your best row, humped up like a little mountain range where the ground was flat and smooth just yesterday. Your finest bean plants are tipped clean over, wilting in the sun, and when you go to stand one back up, it comes loose in your hand, the roots gnawed off underneath. And down at the end of the bed, right where your best hill of potatoes stood, there is a fresh mound of thrown up earth and a hole going down into the dark. Something is working under your garden. And I will tell you plain, right now, this morning, it is winning. My grandfather never bought a bag of poison in his life. Not one. He never set a single steel trap bought off a store shelf either. And his garden was the finest in the whole holler, the envy of every soul that walked past it. He kept the moles run off, and the voles, and the groundhogs too, year in and year out, with nothing in this world but the old ways his people handed down to him. Tonight, I am going to tell you every one of them. And once you see the idea underneath, you will never again stand helpless in your own garden watching some critter tear it up. You will know exactly what to do. So let us start with the one idea, because it is the whole of it, and all the rest is just a way of doing it. That critter did not come into your garden by accident, and it did not come out of spite. Every last one of them came for a reason, plain and simple. The mole came hunting the fat grubs and the worms down in your soft watered ground. The vole came for the tender roots to eat and the thick grass to hide in. And the groundhog came for the green feast of your garden and a good snug bank to dig his den in. They are not there to torment you. They are there because you have laid them a table. So every old way of running them off does one of four things, and only four. It takes away their food, so there is nothing left to come for. Or it pesters them, makes the ground miserable to live under. Or it walls them out, so they cannot reach the crop at all. Or it carries them clean off somewhere else. Starve them, pester them, wall them out, or carry them off. You hold those four things in your mind, and the rest of this is nothing but method. It only looks like a losing fight until you see the idea under it. Let us walk through them one at a time, the way my grandfather would have showed you, out there leaning on his hoe. The first old way, before you do one single thing else, is to read the sign and know your digger. Now this is the step everybody skips, and it is the reason folks fight the wrong battle for a whole summer and lose. 3 different critters do this damage, and each one wants a different thing, so you had best know which one you have got. A mole throws up those raised tunnels running along just under the surface, and every so often a round mound of dirt like a little volcano. And here's the thing most folks have backwards. A mole does not eat your plants at all. He is down there hunting grubs and worms, and he only wrecks your roots by heaving them up as he tunnels through. A vole is a different animal, a little short-tailed mouse of a thing, and he makes narrow little runways worn down in the grass, and he is the one gnawing your roots and the bark right off your young trees. And a groundhog, well, you will not mistake him. He digs a big burrow hole with a fan of dirt thrown out in front of it, and he sits up bold as brass and eats the tops clean off your beans and your greens in broad daylight. Name your enemy first. Everything after this depends on it. The second old way is to take away the grub, and this is the one for your mole. Remember now, the mole is not after your garden. He is after the grubs and the earthworms in it. He is following his supper, and his supper just happens to run right under your bean row. So the old people knew, if you want to be shed of the mole, you take away what he came for. Where the grubs are thick in the ground, the moles will tunnel, and where the ground is clean of them, the mole has no reason to stay and will move along to better hunting. My grandfather would turn his chickens loose across a patch before he planted it, and let them scratch it over and eat the grubs down, and the guineas were even better at it. Fewer grubs, fewer worms, drawing him in, and the mole packs up and goes hunting elsewhere. Take away a critter's food, and half your battle is won before it ever starts. The third old way is castor oil, poured right on the ground. This is an old remedy, and it works on the mole and the vole both, because it goes straight at their nose and their tongue. You take castor oil, the plain oil pressed out of the castor bean, and you mix it up good with water and a drop of soap to make it carry, and you soak it down into the runs and over the ground where they are working. Now, it will not hurt the critter one bit, and it will not hurt your plants, but it makes the whole of that ground taste foul and smell foul to a mole, and it fouls the worms and grubs he is trying to eat besides. He goes to dig his supper, and it is all ruined, spoiled, disgusting to him, and a mole will not stay and starve where the eating has gone bad. He picks up and leaves for cleaner ground. A soaking after a good rain, or watered in yourself, and you have turned his whole dinner table sour. The fourth old way is to plant the very things they cannot abide. The old people learned over the long years that there are certain plants a digging critter will not go near, and they used them like a living fence. A thick border of daffodils all around the bed, for the mole and the vole both hate the bulb. A castor bean plant set here and there, or garlic, or plain onions, or a ring of marigolds. A groundhog especially will turn up his nose and go around a line of what he cannot stand rather than cross through it. So you ring your garden with them, you tuck them in along the rows, and you make the whole place smell wrong to the very nose of the critter you are fighting. My grandmother edged her whole kitchen garden in daffodils, and folks thought it was just for the pretty of it in the spring. It was not. It was a wall the moles would not dig under. The fifth old way is to foul the tunnel and the burrow. If plain smells at the edge will turn a critter, a strong smell pushed right down into his own house will run him out of it altogether. The old way was to take a rag soaked in something powerful and stuff it down into the run or the burrow mouth and then close the hole up over it. Some used a bit of scent from a fox or a dog, for nothing empties a burrow faster than the smell of the thing that eats you. Some soaked the rag in garlic, or set a bucket of soured scraps down in the hole. A groundhog is a clean, careful animal, and he will not stay one more night in a den that reeks of a predator prowling about. He believes a fox has found him, and he goes and digs himself a new home far away from your garden. You have not harmed a hair on him. You have just made him move. The sixth old way is to make the ground itself buzz and shake. Now this is a wonder, and it is the one the old-timers swore by hardest, for the mole and the vole both. A mole lives in the dark, and he does not see hardly at all, so he lives his whole life by feel, by the least little tremble in the ground. And you can turn that against him. The old way was to set a whirligig, a little spinning windmill or a tin can or a bottle rig to catch the wind up on top of a metal rod or a stake driven down deep into the earth. And as the wind spins it, it rattles and it hums, and that shaking runs right down the stake and out through the ground in every direction, and a mole cannot abide it. His whole world is shaking and buzzing at him day and night, and he does not know what it is, only that he cannot rest, and he moves on down the line to get away from it. Set a few of them along your row, and you will buzz the diggers right off your ground without ever touching a one. The seventh old way is to flood the runs and pack them shut. This is as plain and old as it gets. A mole and a vole have dug themselves a whole city of tunnels down there, snug and dry, and that is their fort. So you go to break it on a good wet day, you run water from the hose or a bucket straight down into the main run and you flood it out. And then, and this part matters, you go along and you heel every run closed with your boot, tamping the soft raised dirt back down flat and firm. Now the critter's dry, snug tunnels are drowned and caved in and packed tight, all his work ruined in an afternoon, and he has got to start over from nothing. Do that 2 or 3 times running, close his runs every time you see him fresh, and you make his life so much labor and so little rest that he gives it up and leaves for easier ground. The eighth old way is to wall the bed out from underneath. Everything up to now has been about running the critter off, but the old people knew sometimes the surest thing is to make it so he simply cannot get to the crop at all. So when they set up an important bed, they walled it. You dig your bed out down a foot or so, and you line the bottom and the sides with a stout wire cloth, the kind with the little squares, or with flat creek stones packed in tight, and then you fill your good dirt back in on top. Now the roots grow down free, but no mole nor vole nor groundhog can tunnel up into that bed from below, for he hits the wire or the stone and can go no further. And around the whole garden you can dig a trench a foot deep and set boards or wire down in it on edge, a fence that runs underground. It is more work at the start. I will not lie to you. But you do it once, and that bed is a fortress from then on. The ninth old way is to take away the cover. A vole and a groundhog are timid things at heart, and they will not live out where they are exposed to the hawk and the fox and the eye of the world. They must have cover, thick grass and weeds, and a good brush pile to hide in and travel under. So you take it away from them. Keep the grass mowed down short and close all around your garden. Clean out the brush pile along the fence. Cut back the tall weeds in the corners. Do not leave a board or a bit of tin lying in the grass for a vole to run beneath. My grandfather kept a clean, close mowed strip all the way around his garden like a moat, and it was on purpose. A vole will not cross that bare open ground with a hawk watching, and a groundhog will not den where he has got no cover to slip away in. Leave them no place to hide, and they will not stay. The 10th old way is the oldest pest control there ever was. You let the cat and the dog do the work. Long before there was any bottle of anything to buy, there was a good barn cat, and a good barn cat is worth more against the voles than every other thing in this whole list put together. She will sit by that garden hour after hour, patient as stone, and she will thin those voles down to nothing. And a dog that will work a burrow is death on a groundhog and will keep one from ever settling in to begin with, for the groundhog smells him and knows better than to move in next door to a dog. The old people did not keep a cat only for the barn and the mice. They kept her for the garden every bit as much. Feed a good mouser, let her range your rows, keep a dog about the place, and you have hired yourself the finest and the cheapest pest control that has ever been, and it works while you sleep. The 11th old way is the live box trap. You catch him and you carry him off. Now for a stubborn old groundhog that will not take the hint, one that has dug in deep and means to stay and eat your garden to the ground, the old way and the kind way is to trap him alive and move him. You set a box trap, a wire cage with a door that falls shut behind him, right in his path at the mouth of his burrow, and you bait it with a piece of ripe cantaloupe or a handful of the very greens he has been stealing. His own greed walks him right in. And then you carry that cage a good long mile off, across a creek or a river if you can, out to some far field or wood well away from any garden, and you open the door and let him go free. He is not harmed, not one bit. He has just been moved to where his digging and his eating will do nobody any grief, and carried far enough over water, he will not find his way back. And the 12th old way, the one folks always forget, is to fill the old burrow once he is gone. You have run your critter off at last, one way or another, and you think the job is done. It is not quite, because an empty burrow, a set of open runs sitting there ready-made, that is an invitation printed in the dirt for the very next mole or groundhog that comes wandering by. Why would he dig his own when there is a fine home standing open and waiting? So the last thing you do, always, is close the door behind the one you ran off. Fill that burrow in, pack it down tight with dirt and stone, heel all the runs closed and tamp them firm. Leave no open hole, no ready den, nothing there to draw the next one in. You finish the job by wiping out every sign that a critter was ever welcome, and you keep it that way. And that, now that we have walked through all 12 of them together, is the very thing I want you to carry away tonight. It was never 12 tricks to go and memorize. It was one idea done 12 different ways. You take away their food, or you pester them till they cannot rest, or you wall them clean out, or you carry them off and shut the door behind them. Starve them, pester them, wall them out, carry him off, take away the grub and foul his supper. That starves him. The castor oil and the buzzing steak and the flooded runs and the strong smell down the hole, those pester him. The wire under the bed and the daffodil border, those wall him out, and the box trap carries him off. Every last one of them, that same simple idea underneath. My grandfather never once called it a war, though he surely won it every year. He just knew his enemy, and he knew what each one had come for, and he took that thing away, or he made the place too much trouble to stay in. And I will tell you the one thing he would say over all the rest. He would say, never, ever reach for the poison. For the poison does not know a mole from an owl, nor a vole from the neighbor's good cat, nor a groundhog from the fox that would have run it off for you free. The poison kills the very helpers that were on your side. and it lays in your ground, and in the end it costs you more than the critter ever could. The old ways cost you nothing but a little knowing and a little patience, and they leave your garden and everything around it clean and living. So here is what I would have you do before you close this out and go to your rest tonight. 2 things, that is all. First thing in the morning, go and walk your garden slow and read the sign and name your critter. Is it the raised tunnels of a mole, or the little runways of a vole, or the big open burrow of a groundhog? Know for certain which one you are fighting. And second, before you ever once think of poison or a killing trap, start with the 2 gentlest ways there are. Soak a little castor oil down into that ground and mow the cover down close all around. Just those 2 this very week, and watch what happens. More often than not, that alone will send your digger packing. Because a garden was never meant to be a battle you lose every summer standing helpless with your coffee going cold. The old people did not lose it. They understood the critter, they knew his reason, and they turned him gently away and grew the finest gardens these mountains ever saw. And you can do the very same this year with nothing but the old ways and a little patience. Now you tell me down in the comments, what is the critter that plagues your garden the worst? The mole, the vole, or the groundhog? And what is the one old way of running it off that your people swore by? The one I did not name here tonight. I read every last one of them, every single one. And if you love the old ways and doing a thing the way it used to be done, then subscribe here to the Old Mountain Way and pull up a chair by the fire. I will see you next time.